There we go. Okay, looks like we are live. Everything looks fine on my end. So, welcome, Ryan. I'm so happy to have you join us this evening. We're going to be providing some value. Ryan has an expertise area of helping parents find time and strategies to implement, well, caring for yourself. So, in the exercise and nutrition department. And he's come on tonight to share some of those with us. So, I'm really excited to dive into this topic with you, Ryan. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, how did you get into this spot of, finding strategies to help busy parents?
Yeah, so I thought I got into this spot where I was actually training them for the majority of my career. So I worked as a trainer in a small town, and people that can afford training are typically people who either make a lot of money or they have their wives of someone who made a lot of money or vice versa, like they're busy professionals. So I naturally, only trained people between the ages of like 30 and 55. A lot of people just fell in that lap where I trained their kids and then they had a good experience through that, and then I would train them. So I've been working with parents my whole professional career as like a young trainer all the way up until, now when I am a parent. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So it got real about 4 years ago. And then before that, I, helped them try to just mitigate the damage of just like, saying F it and not doing anything. Right. So is a lot of that, like, at least you
Mm.
can, because I can get you a really good workout in 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour. You don't have to go to a gym class or, do an hour and a half workout every day, which I think is like kind of what I thought to be true for a long time. You know, I never really realized an hour class at a gym is actually like a 2 to 3 hour fiasco. You got to wake up a little bit earlier. You got to get out the door. You got to pack everything. You got to get your stuff before and ready. Like, you got to get your kids off to school. You got to do all these different things. And then you show up at the gym and you sure warm up before you go to the class, and you warm up in the class, and the class takes an hour. And then you got to cool down with hang out with your friends, and you got to get your shake. And I'm like, how do you have like 4 hours to do this one class? That's nuts. If you're a stay-at-home mom and your kids are in school, like, great. But if you are, a working, professional, if you are, I don't know, like, you don't have that luxury, or you can't have the childcare, or your kids aren't in school, how can you still be healthy and make it work? Because it would crush my spirits when I was working with somebody, like, and then they got pregnant, and then I wouldn't see them for 3 years. And like, where'd you been? Where have you been? Oh, I've been raising a child, right? And like, well, why didn't you come to any classes? Ryan, how am I supposed to like leave my kid, or do daycare? I can't afford that, or whatever it was. So now you just got to be resourceful. You got to kind of figure it out. And I think that's kind of what you mentioned earlier, is that you just always did it, almost
Mhm.
where it became second nature before you even gave yourself an option to not, which probably
Right.
just speaks to, like, attests to you being, such a strong-willed human being, right? And it's not natural for a lot of people. I found out.
No, no, it's really not. When I was in that space and I, started exercising and started, trying to take care of what I was eating better nutritionally, I had like a heart goal. I was like, like the breadwinner of our family. I was preparing to go into a federal law enforcement job. So like I had to. And I think for a lot of people, they're not in that space. They don't have to
Mhm.
unless it's some huge health risk.
Mhm. Yeah, so if you never have your back up against the wall, it's pretty easy to just not prioritize it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I think
so the biggest trick is realizing, like, well, why do you even want it? Like, I've talked to a lot of people and like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, I want to lose 30 pounds, I want to lose 50 pounds. Why? And they're like, well, if I do, I'll feel better. Okay, well, do you not feel good right now? Like, well, I don't like the way my clothes fit. I have some insecurities. And they go, I like to pry. So I dig deep real quick. But basically, like, there's a reason why everybody wants a goal, but the fear of change isn't as bad as the pain of the discomfort that they're currently in. And that's the only time where people are going to actually start prioritizing themselves, is when you're so uncomfortable. And I don't think you have to hit like rock bottom or anything, but you do have to get to a point. For me, is when a kid poked me and said, like, you're the fat trainer. And I was like, I'm not even that fat. I'm strong. Like I justified it, but at the same time, he's like, you're right. Like I'm not my leanest self anymore. It was in 2021. I had a weird transition with my career, going from, a pretty 10-year trainer to like a new spot, trying to do a new thing. And I didn't work out as much because I was trying to build like a secondary business for this other person. And I got fat. I gained 30 pounds in between 2019 when my son was born till he was 2, or just before he was 2. Um, and then I kind of woke up and realized this is not going to happen. I worked with a coach, ironically, even though I thought I knew everything what to do. Just but having that outside perspective, like just made things easier to follow when my
Mhm.
life wasn't in a great spot. So I would encourage everybody, don't wait for that to get too bad, but start making some changes that you can make today, rather than waiting to hit rock bottom per se.
Right. No, that's such a good point. And I think that, one of the things that's important for people to understand that even though we as coaches know what to do, it can be so hugely beneficial to have somebody on your side, somebody that has your back, somebody that has a strategy, somebody that has a plan. It removes so much stress. And then it gives you that aspect of accountability as well.
Absolutely. I read and listen to books all the time, and I was just rereading Atomic Habits, and they
Mm,
kind of talked about behaviors and habits what you fall back onto. And the really interesting thing is like your behaviors aren't always the best for you, and you do them anyway. But that's when you need to implement like some structure or some strategies that you can lean in and make those your habits and routines. So even like when life does get chaotic and things do happen, you fall back onto the behaviors and frameworks that you've already instilled. And then like I think if you make it that way, so like for instance, I was having a conversation with a client who their grandfather wasn't doing well, and he's not even in hospice, he's just sick right now, and she's worried that the next 6 months she's not going to be able to work out and or exercise or even get some steps in. So I was just like, well, okay, let's talk through every scenario. Say he does get really sick for 6 months and recovers and he's totally fine. Are you going to start working out then? And like, what if he gets sick again? Like,
mhm.
I'm sorry to be like an asshole, but I'm sorry for cussing too. But you know, old people who get sick more often, right? If he's like almost going to die, like I don't want to sugarcoat it, but how are you going to respond? And I know your grandpa doesn't want you to like just give up on yourself and just be unhappy and be immobile. Like I know that's not the case. He wants you to be the best version of yourself, but you want to, you're already emotionally wrecked before anything has ever happened. So let's play it out. Like say he dies tomorrow. What are you going to do? You're going to be a wreck for 6 months, a year, like 2 years. That's what happened the last time she lost somebody. And like that's how she got to where she was today. She, made not, and again, that's to the extreme. Like losing a loved one, everybody agrees differently. But at the same time, what if you had the structures where you filled up your cup? You found things that made you feel better, and then you went and did those to feel better. For me, it's very simple. It's like getting outside and going for walks. Like when my kids are screaming in my ear, when I've had a bad day at work, I had a hard check-in call or whatever, like my day, who am I kidding? I'm wearing sweatpants right now. Like I'm never that uncomfortable. But like when I need to fill up my cup, I have some things that I do. I can go hit golf balls, I can go meditate, I can go journal, I can go walk, I can go like pet my dog, I can go hug my wife, I can go pick up my kids early from daycare and hang out with them if I wanted to. Right. I have a plethora of things I do to fill my cup. I also exercise. I like strength training. It helps me in many different ways. I could go swimming. I go sit in a cold, like a cold plunge to like really shock my system. I live right next to Lake Michigan. I was in there last Saturday morning at
Mhm.
sunrise, which is absolutely gorgeous. But like still, it sucked. It was hard. But I'm consciously doing a lot of things to constantly put myself in a state of like being better and like always improving compared to I I also used to have a lot of destructive behavior. So I was like, I don't want to be put on this pedestal. I had a terrible relationship with food. I had a terrible relationship with donuts and nachos and pizza specifically. I have a terrible relationship with alcohol in the past where I couldn't have just a drink ever. It was always what's after the like into the next, into the next. And it's very hard because it's just like social culture here in Wisconsin. But at the same time, like every time like you're drinking to celebrate, you're drinking to mourn, you're drinking because you're sad, you're drinking because you're happy, you're like that was the habit what you did. So now I just swap out those habits the things that will make me a better husband for sure. Like there's no amount of alcohol that's going to make me a better husband. There's no amount of alcohol that's going to make me a better dad. And ultimately like my north star is being the best possible, version for my kids so they can, grow up with a happy, healthy dad. And they know what that looks like. So they don't have to like guess like, man, I wonder what it's like to, be happy and healthy. They see it every day. That's kind of like my driving force is I have a weird image when I'm 90 years old, I'm golfing with my grandchildren and my kids at the same time. I think that'd be cool. So that's where I want to get to, right? So if I get to that at the end of my life, I think I lived a pretty happy, successful life in my eyes. That's why I exercise today. That's like why I do everything. So I guess like this is my long story to get to. You have to find out what is important to you. And instead of hitting like a rock bottom, get excited for like where you could be. So if you want to lose 30 pounds, sweet, like go lose the 30 pounds, work with a coach, get there super efficiently. And then what are you going to do with all your extra energy? I always ask my clients that, like, so when you spend all that time being anxious about what to wear in the morning, getting ready, changing your outfit several times, changing before date night, being naked in front of your husband, having all those stresses and all those anxieties, well, when you lose the weight and you don't have to deal with those things, where are you going to put that stress and anxiety? Like, is it just going to be gone? Where are you going to put that extra energy? Right? Like you're going to have more of it. You're going to naturally, when you take care of yourself, you feel better. What are you going to do with these extra like bouts of energy that you have all of a sudden? And then they're like, oh, I kind of thought about, picking up this hobby or whatever. But I'm like, that's a real conversation you should have. Is knowing what's next. What are you going to do when you don't have to stress about these things? Because I doubt you're just going to like sit in a lawn chair and be like, man, I did that. You're going to get there and you're like, what's next? And that's like kind of the secret too, to like sustained success, like having drive all the time, being excited for something all the time. They did a study on happiness, and it had like the number one indicator of like being happy. I don't know how they did it. I can't remember the details, but it wasn't wealth. It wasn't financial. It wasn't like the relationships. It was literally having something to do tomorrow. That's what kept people alive the longest and the happiest, longest, having something to look forward to. So that's like, that's how I live my life now. Like what's next all the time.
That actually makes a ton of sense, though. Well, and I think you made a really good point. Like, if we're not thinking about what we're going to do with energy, it would be so easy to fall back into destructive habits because it's just how
Mhm.
our brain is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like the last thing I ever want, because like it does take a lot of energy and effort to get to that point where you lost the weight. It's like it's hard. Anyone that says it's easy, it's like, man, you're blessed. It was hard for me. Like I had to make a lot of changes. I had to say no to a lot of things that I wanted to do. I had to, you know, I had to go to therapy a few times to talk about that drinking habit. Not had to, like I got to. I never was court mandated. I never hit like a rock bottom of like DUIs or any like, fights or anything like that. I just got to a place where like something had to change. And then I went out and sought therapy to get help on that, to get guidance, because like I wasn't familiar. And there wasn't a conversation that I could have with people that I trusted to get me to a better place, because who am I going to talk to? My drinking buddies about me drinking less? Like that,
Right.
that's not going to work.
Right. Right, right. And I think the have to comes into like when we know that something has to change if we want to be better.
Yeah. And I think that's another exciting thing. Like you're choosing this.
Mhm.
Um, and that's I get a lot of heat for that too from people. You're choosing everything that you do. Like you're choosing to be overweight. And I'm sorry to say that, but I did. I chose to be overweight for almost like 3 years. Every decision I made reinforced me gaining weight, me like not doing what I wanted to or needed to do to be a better version of myself. But like you could either get mad at me, call me an asshole, like you don't know my situation, you don't know my circumstance, and I'm not here to devaluate any of you or devalue any of your like excuses. Your excuses are 100% valid. But like at the end of the day, like get excited because you can choose to respond differently. You're in control of your response. You're not in control of every situation. You're only in control of how you respond to that situation. And how you respond is what's going to lead to that outcome. Another book that I read is Energy Bus by John Gordon. It's just a very like childish book that I love. But he always says like E plus P equals O. Events happen, you have the perspective, which leads to the outcome. So the only thing that you can manipulate is your perspective. And I think that's a really powerful tool. And again, it's not natural, especially like, and again, I'm just going off the rails. Like, if people don't like me, I apologize right now. Like, but that's totally cool too. You don't have to like me. It's very easy to be a victim a lot of times. And
Mhm.
again, I don't know your situation, but like to me, that's just a mentality. you can choose to have something happen to you or happen for you, right? Me hitting my rock bottom with drinking, it happened for me. It's the shittiest thing that I've ever had to go through in my life, but because I did, I'm much better for it. It didn't like I no one held me down, strapped me down, plugged my nose and shoved the funnel of like liquor down my throat. Like, I wasn't being force fed alcohol. I willingly chose to drink that often. I willingly chose to eat all those donuts and all those nachos and all those pizza. And, like those are the choices I made. And I thought they were, the ones I wanted in the moment. Cause that's kind of like, again, you're celebrating. That's what you do. You have cake, you do these things. It's just kind of culture, but you can still have them in moderation and feel very good about it. And I didn't have that boundary ever. I didn't have that relationship until 3 years ago. So I'm still new to it.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, working on boundaries is huge, but you have to first, realize that there is something that needs a boundary.
hmm
Sure.
Yeah, use boundaries to start and then build self-efficacy in yourself that you can show up for yourself. I think that's always the most important. So I don't love having any boundary because the second someone tells me not to do something, like I want to do it. Like, don't touch that electric fence. Like, why not? Like, how bad is it gonna hurt? Kind of thing. That's how my brain works. I don't know if that's good, bad, or different, or if it's different than everybody out there. But when you tell me I can't have something, I for some reason want it. So for me, boundaries are terrible, but also like, why are they bad? Let's have that, like, take a step back. Like, am I afraid to live in those boundaries? Am I afraid that I'm never going to have this food again? Am I afraid that like they're going to stop the production of this, my favorite beer, and I can never have it again? Like, hasn't happened yet. But even if it does, like, who cares? Like, I have memories, right? And then like the second you're able to like let things go is, man, you can really start moving forward in any situation. And again, I didn't know we were gonna have like this deep conversation about like relationships and boundaries.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna find tips and tricks to get workouts in easier.
Yeah, we're supposed to. We've went off on a rabbit hole over here. So no, I was just gonna, I think that, obviously parents do have to set boundaries. I think that's a whole part of the process. You have to set a boundary that you have to take this time to take care of you. So that kind of leads us back into what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in setting those boundaries, what are things that you have found that are, easy ways to, actually start doing that?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things is people have a bunch of preconceived notions of what being healthy is.
True.
A lot of them they're coming from a place of merit, and I'm not gonna like devalue any of those. But what works for somebody doesn't mean that's how it has to be for you. So like, could you get in better shape if you work out for an hour every day, dedicated to activity, exercise, strength training, and dedicate 2 hours a day to meal prep for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Yeah, for sure you could. That's never going to happen if you have children or have, I don't know. It's just not going to happen for a majority of us, correct? Like that's a fair statement to make.
That
But all right, so let's talk about workouts really quick. What dictates a good workout? It's something that you're active. For me, it's something that's relatively going to get you stronger. So you have to stimulate your muscles a little bit, strength training. And then it's efficient. So like you could do a total body workout in 20 minutes. Push, pull, squat, hinge. Go do a bench press, a squat, a deadlift, and a row. Like that's you could get 2 sets, 10, 15 reps in there, control it, challenge yourself, be better, move on. You could even do a daily workout for like 10 minutes where you just pick two of them. So you just have like an upper day and then a lower day, and you just alternate back and forth there. You could do, like 45-minute workouts 3 times a week. You could break it apart however you can make it work, but it has to be whatever you can be consistent with. But let's all agree that you have to exercise and you have to move, not to lose weight, but to be healthy.
hmm
There is not a level of, if you don't exercise, you don't move, you will lose muscle mass, especially if you're talking about around perimenopause, menopause, and older. Like sarcopenia is a huge thing. And actually they just had a correlation between sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, and type 2 diabetes, obesity. Like they always thought it was obesity, but it's actually like just being under muscled. When it comes to like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and pretty much everything that they tie to obesity, it has nothing to do with being obese. Like there's healthy obese people, which sounds weird, but there are unhealthy skinny people that have no muscle mass. which is interesting. So you should strength train. You should at least strength train to preserve muscle. Cool thing about that is it only takes like 1/9 or 1/7 or something like that, the amount of energy to maintain muscle mass that it does to build it. So if you built a lot of muscle in your 20s, like you're blessed, you only have to do like 1/7 or 1/9 the effort to keep it. So that's something like kind of like aha, you like look forward to. To build muscle, it can be challenging. You do have to stress your muscle tissues to get that. How you break that down in the volume, I don't think is as specific, or it doesn't need to be as specific as we thought. Like I was always coming from a place of, I have an undergrad in kinesiology with a minor in strength conditioning. I was functioning off of like triphasic training from the Eastern Bloc European countries because they were like the best in the Olympics in the 80s when all my textbooks were written in college. And turns out like shit don't matter. Like it doesn't. Do strength training, go do it. Like your sets, your reps, they should change. Your movement should change. Like let's just all understand though, we should exercise. And the form of exercise that is the one that they're always talking about is resistance training. It could be with bands, it could be with cables, dumbbells, barbells, whatever. But it's not like cardio. It's not running. It's not class based like hit training classes over and over. They're talking about strength training. That's where you get the benefits. Which is like good news for us. You guys, you don't have to do burpees. I don't know if you like burpees. I personally don't. You don't have to do it. You just do push-ups and then like squats. It's the same thing. Do them smarter and separate. Sorry, like if anybody loves burpees, like I'm not for you.
I've never
Which is
did
yeah. Um, I actually had a trainer, an old trainer that I worked with, and he like loved burpees. Like it's the best exercise. You can have all these variations. I'm like, yeah, you could also just, squat and press and get stronger. Like the
it.
dude had like huge arms too. And I'm like, did you just do burpees to get those arms or were you doing bicep curls? So if you believe that like the best way to get nice arms is to do burpees, keep having your clients do it. But if your clients come to you and they want nice arms, they should probably be doing what you're doing to get the nice arms. Stop lying to people.
Yes.
Yes. So again, side note. So like we should all be in agreement that you should exercise, correct? How that has to look, it doesn't have to be the traditional way that you might have thought. It could look very short, brief periods. It could look, like maybe 2 5-minute exercise. It could just be you stopping in your office and doing squats. Or, like while you're waiting to pick up your kids at pickup line, get out of the car and do lunges. Does it look weird? Maybe, but it's like also it's weird to be in shape. Like go look at like oh my gosh, I'm going to get so much hate for this. But like I was just at a water park the other weekend and it was like I was the abnormal body.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying like I'm like ripped out of my mind or lean or ready to get on stage for a bodybuilding competition. I'm a dad. Like I have extra body fat. But the amount like I was the abnormal person there. Like the majority of people were a little bit bigger or like super under muscled in my opinion, like small. But So if you're worried about not fitting in, just know like when you are healthy and you choose to be healthy, you might not fit into the same crowds. When I stopped drinking, I didn't fit in with a lot of the crowds that I used to hang out with. Um, I have a very big philosophy that I got from my friend Matt, who basically I'm going to where I want to go. My bus is getting me to be able to golf at 90 with my grandkids. Well, if I want to golf, I probably have to have some kind of financial benefit to be able to afford golf. So I can't be poor. I have to be able to be healthy enough to put a ball down on a tee and swing and pick it up off the ground. I need to be healthy enough to get in and out of a golf cart. Technically, they have these really cool golf carts where you don't have to do that, but I don't want to be like that. Just because I'm super afraid of not being able to take care of myself too.
Mhm.
I'm afraid of that, and then I'm afraid of prison. Like those are the two things that like drive 90% of my decisions. So if it puts me like near prison or in prison, like I'm not doing it. I don't care what it is. That's why I have a tax guy because I don't know how to do taxes. I don't want to make a mistake and end up getting in trouble. So prison and then being healthy are my two drivers. But same thing, like I need to be healthy. Like I can't just give into every time that I want to like eat a bunch of donuts or go out to eat and order whatever I want. If I did that every time, I know I'm going to gain weight again because that's exactly what I did last time when I gained weight. It's proof that I can't live that way. Really cool thing is when I worked with a coach, I did a reverse diet and I can get away with 3,300 calories a day to maintain my weight, which is pretty neat. So if you haven't heard of a reverse diet, talk to Clarissa. I'm sure she's familiar with it. Um, take advantage of it. It is one of the coolest tools and coolest things you could ever do for yourself. If you're scared, Do it with Clarissa. She's a coach. She's gonna like put those fears at ease. I was afraid. Like it didn't make sense to me. But at the same time, now that I know a little bit more about, human physiology, it does. So back to what you have to do to like fit in time. Hopefully we got to the point where like, hey, being active doesn't have to look crazy. Fit it in when you can. If it's before everybody wakes up or before everybody goes to bed, or after everybody goes to bed, do it then. If it's affecting your sleep, do it in the morning. Get up and just do it. If you need to go invest in, a set of dumbbells or whatever, it's like a very cheap investment compared to, I don't know, obesity medications or
Yeah.
heart disease medications or, everything right now. Everything's super expensive. So, but you don't have to invest in that. Like go get a set of rubber bands. I said resistance training, it's band work, body weight, push-ups, squats, lunges. They're free. You can't do a push-up, go to a counter and do a push-up on a counter. Squats, sit down to your toilet 10 times and get your legs burned a little bit. That's resistance training. Don't overcomplicate it. And people always hear that and you say that and they never do it. Do it one time. Like literally just do it one time where every time you go to the bathroom, do 10 squats where you just touch your butt to the toilet seat, stand up 10 times, and then go to the bathroom or do it afterwards. And like you'll get stronger because if you go to the bathroom twice a day, that's 20 squats a day. That's 600 squats over the course of a year or more. It's more than that. It's almost 700. I can't do basic math, but you can't tell me if you do 700 more squats than you ever would, you wouldn't have like more toned legs or have stronger legs. That's,
Absolutely.
that's bullshit if you tell me that's not true. So just some food for thought on that. And then when it comes to like food prep, like yeah, it takes some time. Um, you can do it relatively easily now. I go to Costco and I get rotisserie chickens. They're not the healthiest when it comes to like all the preservatives in it. Whatever. It's $4.99. It's extremely cheap. It's like 3 pounds of meat. When you strip away the things, like just take it out of the plastic, take it off the bone, break it down, and then eat it. It's super simple. You could get things like extreme wellness wraps. They're going to have like 10 to 14 grams of fiber and have like 4 to 8 grams of protein in a wrap. Literally, chicken wrap, fiber, protein, meal. And it's going to give you like good blood sugar throughout the day. So like it doesn't have to look like me cooking 20 chicken breasts on Sunday for the whole week or eating out of Tupperware like I did when I was in my 20s, right? Like tilapia out of Tupperware with like asparagus and rice is just disgusting to me right now.
It
But I
is.
would never do meal prep like that. So now, like for instance, my food prep is very basic. I have food ready all the time. I have like shrimp, I have steak, I have chicken. Something's always getting thawed out. Something's always in the freezer. And when that gets low in the freezer, I go shopping. And it's just on repeat. It's either pork, it's chicken. I can take one chicken, like package of chicken thighs. We could do tacos. We could do burrito bowls. We could do just like bake it. We could grill it. We could season it differently. We could do Jamaican jerk. We could put it in like chicken fried rice. We can do a million different things with it. Wraps, sandwiches. Like I keep on going on. You do the same thing with steak. Get your variety with how you eat it, but just go and make it. And then when you would make, say, I don't know, on a Sunday, I would make 4 burgers for my family. Well, instead of 4, I make 8, and now I have leftovers for tomorrow and the next meal. Like if when I'm making, whenever you do make something, if I'm making stir fry, I'm not just making enough for tonight. I'm making 8 servings of it because I have a 2-year and a 4-year-old. So like, hopefully when they grow up and they're eating the same thing, they're gonna like nothing really changes in my life. I don't have to like flip my whole world over to try to make it work for those kids. They just, they eat more. But right now, it just I make my servings for that night, and then I have lunch for the next day, and maybe some for another meal. And that's how I always food prep. I don't take extra time out of my day to do it. You could easily do the same thing with Qdoba. You could go get Qdoba catering or Chipotle catering, and you could just go get a bunch of meat and a bunch of like I would just go to do the meat, rice, beans, fajita veggies, and salsa. You can make it low calorie. You can have it in bowls, and you could go get like I think they have like party packs for like 20 servings, and each serving is like 20 grams of protein. So you could just if you like it that much, you could do it. It's a possibility to do. I'm not saying that's what you should do necessarily, but it's an option. Um, but don't get into the mindset that you have to like live like a bodybuilder that has all this time to go do all these things. Make it realistic. Like when you're making eggs in the morning, make extra eggs, add extra egg whites to it. Like do what you're normally doing and then add a little bit more. is kind of like my philosophy. So I make breakfast every day for my kids, for my wife. My wife's tracking and doing everything. She's in a on her health journey, which I'm super excited about. I make her breakfast so she doesn't have to worry about that meal. And it's very consistent. And I think she gets like 45 grams of protein for breakfast. So crushes it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's awesome too. And I reiterate this a lot, but yes, when you're making food, just make extra. And it helps so much to have a big batch of something that you can just portion out and then know that you have a meal for the rest of the week. Um, I wanted to ask, Ryan, just because I'm curious. Um, so you have your two kids at home. Do they eat that much differently than you do?
Yeah, they do. So I have one kid that's dairy free.
Okay.
He's is it not even a dairy sensitivity, it's an allergy.
Wow.
So if he has dairy in his diet, he won't poop for like a week. And that is like the saddest thing when a kid's afraid to poop.
Oh yeah.
So he doesn't have like any cheese. So when we have like pizza night or anything like that, he has his own pizza. He has like dairy free cheese and he's cool with it. He is just like also because he's had so many experiences where he has been afraid to poop, he doesn't want to eat other foods. So that's like something we're working on. Our
Mhm.
other little guy will eat anything. So he eats very similar to us. He kind of eats like a hybrid between what we eat and what our other son eats. But basically like kids are eating chicken tenders and hot dogs and I think pretty normal things for kids. A lot of yogurt actually. Like I get them some high quality yogurt because that's one thing that you can get like a coconut based
Mhm.
yogurt that
Yeah.
get some a little bit of some prebiotics in it. So like I'm always thinking about that for him. But also like sometimes really cool thing like protein or like chicken nuggets are just protein, a little extra carbs and typically more fat than usual, but you
Right.
can make them work in my diet. So like another like cheat code that I have is those salad dump kits. Literally,
Oh yeah.
there's like one bag I think is like 400 calories and
Mhm.
like 99% of it comes from the dressing.
Yes.
Um, just dump it out. And then if you have zero time and zero prep, go get canned chicken and water. One can is like 40 grams of protein right there. And you just mix, you drain the water first, put that into a bowl with that salad dump kit. It's 500 calories and 40 grams of protein and, 3 to 4 servings of veggies.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think you can go wrong when it takes you the amount of time to just rip open a bag, dump it in a bowl, mix it
Hmm.
together. I've taken those, I put it into wraps again and made like a little buffalo chicken sandwich or like wrap or something like that. Super efficient. As far as like the kids though, like I eat the same food. So like when they don't eat their hot dogs, I eat their hot dogs and I make it
Okay.
work. Like I
Yeah.
just we also get like I guess higher quality hot dogs because
Okay.
that is
Yeah.
thing of
That
their thing.
helps.
So like we do spend a little bit more to make sure it's like not like nitrate free, a little bit higher quality like beef hot dogs. Like I'm laughing because like hot dogs are just like the lowest quality protein that
Mhm.
you can pretty much eat, but they
Right.
love. So like for me, I just kind of make it work, and then for them, yeah, they eat. We get them like some veggie muffins. So there's like these chocolate,
Mhm.
blueberry, banana nut muffins that they have like zucchini in them blended up, just to get them a little bit extra veggies in their diet. Their snacks that we give them. I'm never gonna lie to you guys. Like yesterday, they had Cheetos and Lay's potato chips, which is a very like
Mhm.
wasn't normal day. But like usually they're snacking on, things like cut up fruit, like a lot of
Mhm.
berries, things like that I'm already eating. So like
Yeah.
when I make my breakfast and I want it's like side of berries with like my oatmeal, cool. Like just wash more, throw them on their plate. Really try to like make it like I want them to be eating how I'm eating when
Yes.
they're like their teens. Um, and I want it to be very normal for them. So like any way that I can get protein into their diet and fiber into their diet, I sneak it in there. Um, like they make pancakes all the time, and so the one cannot do whey, he could
Oh
break
yeah.
out. But we have like a collagen protein. I'll throw a little bit of that in there instead of water. I mix it with egg whites,
Mhm.
the powder, and then we do get an almond flour mix for him. Again, just like get out all the buttermilk premix stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's like they have like these little pancakes to make them eat it. Sometimes I throw chocolate chips in there. Sometimes I throw blueberries in there, something sweet. But like that little protein puck is like
Mhm.
14 grams protein because it's all
Yeah.
egg white almond flour pretty much is, and then put a little vanilla in there. It tastes pretty good. So that I guess like that's how we get them to get high quality ingredients and
Yeah.
like 1,000 calories for them.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I do. I think it's important that kids eat, similar to what we're eating. If we're trying to be healthy and we're trying to set a good example, it doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion, to be buying, like my kid will only eat macaroni and cheese. I never had that problem ever, 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 ever. And I really think it's just because I've always tried, nutrition has fascinated me like since high school, but I've always tried to feed them super balanced. So like when they were infants, I made their baby food out of what we were eating. And it just kind of continued in that trend through, oh no, I've lost the internet.
You're back. I can hear you now.
Okay.
I
But
lost
like
it.
as infants, yeah, I went totally offline. I made their baby food out of what we were having for dinner. And slowly introduced food so that you could watch for intolerances, sensitivities, all that. But then as they got older, then they were used to eating what we were eating. And I think it made for very much not picky eaters. I've got a couple that, they don't like mushrooms or somebody doesn't like zucchini, but other than that, they're eating super balanced. And I think it's just important
Yeah.
on our end to set that example and not buy them special foods because they really don't need it.
Yeah, I always like the idea, and this is where me and my wife do not get along.
Okay.
It divides the house. No, because she is a very like picky eater, but she also
Okay.
eats healthy. Like
Yeah.
so, what I always say, and this is, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Let's give them the option to eat this. This is what they're eating for dinner tonight. And if they don't want it, like that's what's for dinner. Like if they don't eat, they'll be hungry. They'll go back and eat. I've never had a kid come home from school like the option right now is, and again, we give them foods that like taste pretty good for like they're still childish foods. But
Right.
like for instance, like, you know, I personally don't like like we don't have mac and cheese like ever. I don't know why, but
That's
yeah, that's
okay.
just one of the things that we just never did. Um, but if that's like what your kid will only eat, take it away for like a week. Be like,
Hmm.
Kraft is shut down. It is not open right now. You cannot get mac and cheese anywhere. We're going to try broccoli tonight and let's melt a little cheese on top to like get it, palatable for you.
Yes.
Um, yeah, they're gonna cry, they're gonna be upset. But also I do think that every time a kid cries and gets upset, he's just pushing your boundaries and seeing what he can get away with. At least my kids. Because they're freaking good at it. Like my 2-year-old
Hmm.
will throw a fit for an hour and it
Oh
drives
yeah.
my wife nuts. I'm like, she needs to leave the house sometimes. Like go
Oh
for a
yeah.
walk, take the dog out, like, and I just have a long fuse. I will let him cry it out as much as he wants, but he's not getting his way because he's the child. I'm the adult. I'm in
Mhm.
charge of your life. I brought you in this world, kind of thing.
Right.
But like, it scares me to when you give in to a child because they can get away with it in the future. It's going to be harder in the future to say no.
Right.
So
That's true.
that's always something that kind of scares me. But also, like I just said, that he's 4. He doesn't know what's best for him.
Right. Yeah.
He wants what he wants because like that's kind of what he's gotten in the past, and he knows it tastes like decent or whatever, and he looks whatever.
Mhm.
But like now we have always foods and we have sometimes foods. Like we just label things like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
No, that's
always
great.
foods are always available. They're on the counter. There's
Mhm.
apples, there's bananas, there's berries in the fridge. We have like cut up carrots all the time, broccoli. Like we have everything. It's all like an always food. Yogurt for him is an always food.
Okay. Okay.
And then like the sometimes foods are like the chicken nuggets, right? Like the foods like, yeah, we can't eat endless amounts of chicken nuggets. They're
Yeah.
still chicken nuggets, even though they're gluten free and all these other hormone whatever free, Costco brand, whatever. You can't just keep eating them, right? They're not going to make you feel good. So like we just have that conversation whenever you overeat something. Hey, how's your tummy? Like we just make it very real for them. Hey, like when you had that donut, how do you feel right now? You're kind of cranky right now. It's probably because you had that like the bunch of treats this morning and you didn't have any of those always foods, right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, Ryan, like talk to my kid, your blood sugar's all fucked up right now. That's why you're cranky. That's why you can't sleep. That's why you can't calm your brain. They don't get that. So it's like how you're feeling right now is because of what you ate. And then just make that connection for them. I think is a good way. Like, hey, you feel really good right now. Like you had all that energy all day. It's because you ate that really good breakfast,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
always just reinforcing it, whether they're picking it up or not. I think it's really important. So like ideally when he's like 6, he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta go, hiking with dad. I'm going golfing with dad. I need all the energy. I'm gonna have like, my
Mhm.
yogurt. I'm gonna have like a couple extra pancakes with, can you put some extra egg whites on the side or whatever? To get or like some extra eggs or whatever. Um, so that they can make those decisions in the future. Cause like I just talk about what I'm eating out loud all the time in front of them. So like, oh yeah, daddy's having this sandwich. Like, this like turkey's protein. It's like my 4-year-old's like, does that have protein in it? I'm like, yeah, it does. And it cracks me up. He's like, I need more protein. But like,
Cute.
yeah, he also like he'll eat a tablespoon of peanut butter, if he hasn't had a lot of food. And I'm like, man, it's calorie dense, but at the same time, like the dude's burning calories. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
concerned.
yeah.
So it's like for him, that's an always food because it gives him some form of protein in there too. Which is better than like Cheetos or whatever else snack that you'd have. So
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
how we make it work. And I'll tell you if I'm right in 16 years. So if you want to have me on in
Okay.
16 years, I'll tell you how it worked out.
All right, yeah, let's circle back to that. But no,
Yeah.
no, I think it sounds like, setting really good examples and teaching them good habits early on, which is part of our job as parents. And I feel like, if we can do that when they're young, and this has been really cool with my kids because of course, they go through teenage years and they eat hot Cheetos and what are those stupid things? Talkies. And
Yeah. A little
yeah,
bit.
but what's really cool is that they exercise, they go to the gym, they do training, they meal prep, and even, no matter in high school how bad they fought me, they're doing it now.
Yeah.
So it really does make a difference. Our choices
Yeah.
directly impact what they do long term.
Yeah. So right now, I always, when I play with them, I will start doing push-ups all the time. And my 2-year-old, he'll actually say exercise or push-ups and he'll start doing it's awesome. He just starts like humping the floor, but he's like, he calls them push-ups. And I'm like, that's sweet. And then let's do squats. And he can like do like these
Uh-huh.
squats. And it's so
Oh,
cool because I'm just like, let's just keep this rolling.
yes.
My plan is like when I go golfing, like I'm gonna bring them with me and just like tag along. I don't care if you hit the ball or not. Like you're gonna hang out with me when I want to have a gym at home.
Okay.
I'm going to a gym right now and like
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that, but I want them to be super present with me, like in the gym. Like I want them introduced in a very healthy way. Like
Mhm.
not like you have to be here. When we go,
Right.
it's gonna be super fun. We're gonna do like, we're gonna take medicine balls, we're gonna throw them all over the place. We're gonna do box jumps. We're gonna,
Yeah.
drag the sled, put your brother on the sled, pull him around, like let's have some fun here. So I need to build a gym that can allow that or go to it, find a gym that can allow that. But
Right.
like that's my ideal introduction. So it's not like, oh man, strength training is so hard, right? Like the way that I was introduced with it, it sucked. Like I can't believe I stuck with it. Like the only reason I did is I had a core group of friends, and then 6 months later, I think somebody said that they can tell, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you can tell I'm working out. Like I'm gonna keep this going. I was a small little skinny kid
Mhm.
in high school. I wrestled at 119.
Oh
So
my gosh.
and I was a freshman at 119, so I wrestled, and that's where I learned how to lose weight really efficiently, which isn't
Okay.
great.
No.
So not going to talk about that. If you want to dig deeper, it's just not a healthy relationship with. That's probably where most of my trauma came from when it came to weight loss. Is like I would just binge eat after every meet. I'd lose it for Saturday. I'd binge eat on Sunday. I'd lose it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'd wrestle Thursday, and just
Yeah.
did that for 14 weeks straight.
Maybe we should have another session just on that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's totally relevant because women do that outside of high school.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually, yeah, I got very good at it until like my body stopped losing weight. I'm like, what's
yeah.
going on? I'm doing the same thing I used to do to lose weight. Why am I not lighter?
Is it not working? Yes, and that's what they all say. I'm doing the same things. It's not working. Well,
Yeah, yeah,
but no,
that's
this
adaptation.
is yeah, this has been absolutely fantastic. We've had a lot of people join us this evening. My phone died, so I can't see how many people are um, watching at the moment. But there were not any questions. There
Okay.
is a lot of people agreeing with what you're saying, so that's really
So they don't hate me. That's cool.
no, no, they
I was
don't hate you.
walking that razor's edge for a second.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I am super honest. I am super upfront. Somebody just
Yeah,
yelled at me in another Facebook group this morning for being super upfront. I'm like, well, hello, do you want to lie to the chick? But
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're doing a service to anybody, like, by not being truthful. And
No,
that's
no,
one
no.
thing that like I always value. I tell people whether they're working with me, coaching in my group or anything like that, just I value transparency. If you want to
Yes.
know exactly what's up, I'll give you my best, most honest opinion. If you don't
Mhm.
agree with it, that's totally fine. Like I might be wrong. I hope
Right.
like for your sake, I hope I am wrong. I hope you can't figure it out on your own. Nothing would make me happier than to you just not being in the position we're at right now where you're stuck, frustrated, and not happy looking in the mirror. Like, but for a lot of people, it takes energy, effort, it takes emotional strength to like kind of figure out this whole weight loss thing. So you get to like being a healthy, happy parent, so you can raise happy, healthy kids. And
Mhm.
then that's my main mission because if I can do that, then my kids can be around other, they won't be abnormal doing push-ups in the hallways, right? That's
Right.
the way I always look at it.
They'll find their tribe. There's still
Yeah.
kids out there. I firmly believe that.
Yep. I might have to move out of Wisconsin, but who knows?
You never know. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Ryan. I
Yes.
really appreciate it. I know that you brought a lot of value to our group. They'll have to kind of process the information. For those of you that are watching the replay, if you have any questions, where could they reach you, Ryan?
The easiest place to find me is probably Instagram, and I'm the Coach Murphy. So the underscore Coach Murphy on Instagram. If you search me on Facebook, there's so many Ryan Murphys, you'll never find me. So
I know. I know.
yeah, Instagram's probably the best.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I truly appreciate it. Like if any of you have questions, go ahead and reach out to Ryan on Instagram, like
Yeah.
he said.
Open book.
Yes. His expertise in, creating these strategies for fitting the time in as a busy parent is much more fresh than mine. It's also like, mine is old and I was in a totally different space. So I think that Ryan has a lot of great points that he brought to the table tonight. So thank you for sharing those. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we'll have to have you back on in 16 years to talk about how
Yeah.
your kids are doing.
Book it.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. I really
Awesome.
appreciate
Good
it.
night.
All right. Have a good night.